Prosecutors brought in several witnesses to try to prove that Amy and Lee Lester had not fulfilled their part of a plea bargain that would have resulted in the dismissal of child abuse charges against them. The accusations arose from an incident in December of 1985. Francione Pierre was taken to Child Haven by a babysitter. He reportedly had 40 welts on his back. The Lesters were charged with child abuse, but an agreement was worked out between prosecutors and the Lesters' attorney. It said if child welfare was satisfied that no evidence of repeated child abuse had occurred within 6 months in the Lester household, then the charges would be dropped. Thomas McKnight, who supervised the Lesters' counseling sessions, testified that the Lesters wouldn't let them visit their home prior to Francione's alleged abduction from a North Las Vegas swap meet. Another witness, neighbor Janine Whitesides, said on 2 different occasions Francione had been burned, with what she didn't know. However, the second incident occurred 2 weeks before he disappeared.
They're real bad. The little black boy, you know, and his skin was totally white underneath, and his skin was off his hands. I suggested to them what they ought to do, so when scarred and stuff like that.
Whitesides testified that Lee Lester told her Francione burned himself accidentally with hot tea. And another neighbor, Diane Carr, told the court on one occasion she saw Francione drunk. Following Carr's testimony, Judge Joseph Bonaventure ordered the Lesters bound over for a preliminary hearing on January 22nd. After the proceedings, Oscar Goodman was questioned by reporters as to why he was taking such a minor case. He replied he needed to make a living. Questioned further, Goodman indicated that race may have been a factor in the way police investigated Francione's disappearance. He would not elaborate. Doug Bradford, Eyewitness News 8. There's always been a glimmer of hope that little Francione Pierre was with his biological father in Haiti. However, that hope was partially shattered this morning when North Las Vegas police were contacted by Jean-Pierre. According to Lieutenant Doran Goodrow, Pierre called detectives after receiving a letter addressed to him at his Port-au-Prince home. It was the first time he knew his son had been kidnapped.
The only thing he knew is that he received a day before a memo, as he called it, from a major at the police department in Port-au-Prince of some kind of inquiry. And then our letter clarified what it might be about.
Goodrow says Jean-Pierre, who was a former prison guard at Indian Springs, has stated that he fully intends to cooperate with authorities, even to the extent of allowing the FBI to come to his home and talk to his neighbors to make sure Francione hasn't been there. For the past 2 months, Lee and Amy Fleming Lester have been accusing Jean-Pierre of abducting Francione. But now that he knows his son is missing, Jean-Pierre is pointing the finger of guilt at his ex-wife.
He accused, of course, Amy right away of being up to tricks, that it was her fault, whatever's happened. And he denied any knowledge of having Yo or having him abducted.
If nothing else, detectives can now focus their attention on other areas.
We still have the worry that it's a stranger abduction or it's a friend of the family.
Goodrow says Jean-Pierre indicated he was going to be in the United States next month, but because his son is still missing, Pierre may try to expedite his return. Doug Bradford, Eyewitness News 8.
Amy Fleming and Lee Lester acknowledge they have been charged with gross misdemeanor child abuse stemming from an incident last December. Court affidavits say the couple's babysitter called police after noticing approximately 30 welts and bruises on Fleming's son Pierre Francione. The couple was arrested and will appear for charges on August 27th. They say they can explain. They say that on the night of December 16th, Francione set a fire while playing with matches, a fire that damaged a bathroom in the couple's home, a fire that could have killed Francione. He'd accidentally locked himself in the bathroom as the flames burned the shower curtain and wastebasket. Lester says he had to kick in the door to rescue the boy. They say Francione has a history of setting fires, and they are going to seek psychiatric help for him. In the minutes after that December fire, she says she disciplined Francione, first spanking him with her hand, 2 swats on the buttocks, and then she used a belt on the boy, which may have struck him in several places. Later, a babysitter would report welts and bruises. Fleming says the sitter may have called police because she had previously argued with Fleming over another matter. Fleming says it's up to the court to decide if child abuse was committed, but she described it as parental discipline.
And it was an isolated incident for something that threatened his life. He was coughing and choking when we pulled him from the bathroom. And the circumstances, I feel that it was a controlled circumstance.
Fleming says she has never struck her son before or since, and Francione was soon returned to her after being taken to child haven. Fleming admits that she at first said Luster had used the belt on Francione because she wanted to be sure she would get her son back.
I disciplined my son. Lee was not involved, except he witnessed the incident, and he never touched my son. He has never hurt my son, never spanked my son.
Fleming says she hopes that the search for her son will continue vigorously despite the reports of child abuse.
You know, I will do anything that I can to find my son, and that is come in front of a camera and say, yes, indeed, this has happened, but please put it into perspective and continue to keep your eyes open for my son.
Richard Urey, Eyewitness News 8.
We have for the duration of the case, Your Honor. This is on for status check in reference to this case.
Yes, Your Honor. The case is well aware of it.
What's the background of this case, Mr. Moore?
Yes, Your Honor. This involved a minor
Satisfied when this originally came on calendar. Alan Eugene Jones.
Mr. Smith, motion for release of information.
This is a claim I brought on pursuant to the statute.
Since King insulted me,
The Lusters say they're leaving Las Vegas first thing tomorrow morning. Destination, Orlando, Florida.
we have been on the phone with Miami in the last month. There are people there that have gotten operatives into Haiti to get information regarding the possibility of Yo being in Haiti.
Lee Luster says Dr. Robert Franks, a longtime friend from Los Angeles, is paying for the trip. According to Franks, he gave Lee a couple $1,000s this weekend, saying he wants to help the Lusters get back on their feet. Amy and Lee got the okay today to leave the state when their probation officer gave them a travel pass. Lee says he's already got a job in Florida as an electronics salesman. The Lusters say the adverse publicity following Francione Pierre's disappearance has made it impossible for them to find work in Las Vegas.
For some reason, and I'm not sure what we can pinpoint the reason is, but we have become the couple that people love to hate.
State law says unless a judge orders a person to serve out his probationary term in Nevada, he is free to go to any state that he chooses, provided he meets certain criteria.
The basic ingredients of those guidelines are the person must have a place to live, have employment or employment offered to them, and have some resource or support system in that state, such as friends or relatives.
Chambers says the Lusters could be forced to return to Nevada if they don't have jobs in 30 days or if they violate probation. They could come back on their own, but the Lusters say they won't unless Francione is with them. Amy and Lee strongly believe he's still alive. Doug Bradford, Eyewitness News 8.